There are a lot of quotations that I like to use from Peter Drucker. He actually collaborated with my father many years ago in executive coaching, and one of his least well-known comments is that the only legitimate function of a company is to create a customer. That's not something you hear a lot. You hear about people saying, well, the commitment of the company is to create shareholder value, or the commitment of the company is to create excellent products. No, the function of a company is to create a customer. And I think it's easy to become overwhelmed with the activities of a company and forget that ultimately the customer tells you whether what you've done has value or not. And I think that we are finally at the point today where we can have the kind of constant connection with customers and symmetry of communication power between the customer and the company, so that commitment to the customer defining success is finally something we can realize as an everyday operational activity. Salesforce.com has been using the slogan, the icon, no software, for so long that I think people have almost forgotten how important it is as a statement of what we do. Our product is not software. Our product is the ability to get stuff done. And with the messaging that we've been using since February of being very explicit, sell, service, market, these are verbs that everybody understands. And I think we're at the point now where we can stop using so much bandwidth to talk about the cloud. Stop using so much bandwidth to talk about what we're getting off the table, because the idea of doing business without buying servers is no longer radical. Most of the interesting new entrants in many markets and many of the world's largest established companies are moving toward the idea that owning assets is a necessary evil, as opposed to being the definition of what IT does. And so the kind of conversations we're having today with CIOs, CMOs, chief operating officers, and of course with customers are now very much about the opportunity to say, let's focus on what we want to do instead of focus on the activities that are necessary to support it. That's why I feel that Salesforce.com is in an outstanding position, especially with the aid of the partner ecosystem, to be in the office of our customers, helping them understand the relationship they have with their customers. In many cases, what you'll find is that people in a business are passionate about what they do. That is to say, the activity they perform. I think it was John Gall who once said, go down to a big shipyard and try to find a boat builder. You won't. You'll find welders, you'll find electricians, you'll find draftsmen. You won't find anyone who says, I'm building a boat. And if you compare that to the guy building a boat in his backyard, he may not be particularly good at it, but he is very definitely a boat builder. And if you ask him what he's doing, he'll say, I'm building a boat. And I think what we need to do is make it easier for people and companies to be invested in what the customer thinks is happening instead of what they think they're doing. I think that the kind of connection that we're seeing with companies as they move from an email and brochures model of communication to a chatter customer group kind of communication, where in essence you've got a private break room that the customer is invited to drop in and have coffee with you anytime. I think that leads to the kind of dialogue with the customer that invites and even compels a continual refreshing of the discussion of what are we actually doing for you? What would you love to have us do, but you've gotten so accustomed to the idea that we can't do that you don't even ask about it anymore. Sometimes I think the hardest thing to do is to forget everything you've learned you can't do and start the conversation afresh, if not every day, then every few weeks or few months about, this thing we've talked about for a while, I'm just wondering, is that something that we could actually think about doing now? Because it's odd how often we talk about the dramatic pace of technology change, and yet at the same time, how many calcified assumptions of what's not doable you will find embedded in so many conversations, not even being discussed, but just there as restrictions on what happens. And so I think if we can get off the idea that I'm here to weld, I'm here to draw, and say, I'm here to build a boat. Actually, I'm here to get you from one side of the ocean to the other side of the ocean. The more we can be focused on mission instead of on activity, the more I think all of us will feel more joyfully engaged in our work, and that's a good thing. And also the more the customer will feel that we are really solving their problem and not just pushing your company's product. One of the things that you will see in many markets today is that the cheapest product you can buy is pretty darn good. It used to be if you wanted a watch that was accurate to 2 seconds a month, you would spend hundreds of dollars. And today that kind of accuracy, if you wear a watch at all, may cost you only a few tens of dollars, and many people, of course, just get that for free in their phone. The kind of money that people used to spend on cameras. The cheapest car you can buy today would have been considered a luxury sports sedan 40 or 50 years ago in terms of its standard equipment, performance, durability. Customers today are not surprised when a car lasts 100,000 miles, and that used to be retirement time, and now it's just nicely broken in. What that means is that product excellence is not as differentiating as it used to be. And if you look at the brands that have explicit strategies, I mean, Toyota and Lexus, Nissan and Infiniti, Honda and Acura, they've got two very distinctive brands. Really, the fundamental quality and capability of the product is not what differentiates those brands, it's the services that are wrapped around the core product. And I think what we're seeing in more and more businesses is that the customers that you actually want to have, the ones who want to pay a premium price to receive a premium experience, and American Express has great data. This is a growing fraction of the marketplace, as people who say, I don't have time for mediocre service. I know what good service is worth to me as a quality of life issue, as a freeing up of my time issue, and I'm prepared to pay for that. I think too many companies race to the bottom on price and wind up with customers who are expensive to acquire, expensive to keep, and not very profitable to have, as opposed to the kind of customer you really want to have, which is the customer who's with you for life, pays what they know you're worth, and is happy to do it, and wants to do more. I think too many companies have raced to the bottom instead of realizing there's more fun to be had and certainly more money to be made at the top. I've been engaged in pieces of the IT business now for about 30 years, and I can remember when the technology was so expensive and complicated that a relatively small markup on the cost of the hardware would fund a services activity. For example, a CAD workstation was a $20,000 piece of equipment, and so you could put a $5,000 software license on top of that and sell a complete bundle, and it all kind of made sense. Then the next thing you knew, people were putting a $300 CAD product on a $3,000 PC, and you could no longer hide the value of your services in a simple markup as part of a software license. Now, Magna 360 has been a partner with Salesforce.com since 2004. In software years, that's a long time, because if you think about the number of product cycles we've been through in a period of 9 years, we're talking about more than 20 releases. If you were in a traditional software business where a major upgrade is every 2 or 3 years, that would make Magna 360 the equivalent of a 40-year veteran in the business. Obviously, the company has not been around for 40 years, but the point I'm trying to make is that there's a deep familiarity not only with the present state of the platform, but an understanding of the need to be fully engaged with that platform so that that pace of innovation flows directly into what you do. Magna 360 is not going to make the mistake of writing a lot of code to do something that the platform would do for them, because by letting the platform do it, when the platform does it better, the rising tide lifts all the boats. This is an important understanding to acquire, and it takes time. And the 1,500 platform implementations that Magna 360 has done, this is experience you can't get instantly. You can't acquire the deep understanding of what it means to make proper use of the native facilities of a cloud platform until you've done it enough times that you'd say, yeah, this is the right way to do this, and this is the other way. It's necessary for partners to be providing this breadth of understanding. For for the simple reason that we are no longer having an IT replacement or IT modernization conversation with companies. We're having a company and customer engagement transformation conversation. You need to be able to talk to the marketing people, talk to the sales team, talk to the product development people. We need to have engineers now who think of themselves as customer facing. That's a relatively new idea, that every member of the company is in a network that may be called upon to engage with and address a customer on a moment's notice. And so the leverage that's provided by the depth and breadth of experience of a partner like Magna 360 is essential to the realization of the mission of creating customer companies.